Welcome to today's webinar, where we'll be demonstrating applications that can help people living with ALS MND with their communication. For this webinar, we have English and Spanish captions available. If you are joining us live on Zoom, please check the chat box as we're adding the instructions right now. If you're watching this recording on YouTube, you will find the instructions in the video description on how to activate the subtitles. Thank you to our sponsor, Biogen, without whom this webinar series would not be possible. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kathy Cummings, the Executive Director of the International Alliance of ALS MND Associations, and I'm joined today by an incredible panel who will provide you with their input on some applications to help with communication. During today's webinar, we will be allowing a few minutes after each demonstration to answer any questions that come up. Please use the Q&A section for your questions. I want to add that some of this presentation is live, and like any good technology presentation, we may encounter some glitches when tech doesn't work exactly as it should. Please be patient with our presenters as we work through anything unexpected. Now, let me introduce you to those incredible panelists that I talked about a moment ago. Alper Kaya completed his medical education at Dokuz Eylül University Faculty of Medicine in Izmir. He worked as a general practitioner in the rural areas of the country for 4 years, and he graduated from Çukurova University Ophthalmology Clinic as an ophthalmologist. Alper, you'll have to correct any of my pronunciations that I just said. He was diagnosed with ALS MND at the age of 30, and he currently serves as the co-chair of the Turkish ALS Association. He also served as a board member of the International Alliance of ALS MND Associations between 2012 and 2014, and currently is a member of the Alliance's Pals and Cals Advisory Council. Richard Cave, our other panelist, is a speech language therapist and PhD candidate at University College London, UCL. He works with the UK MND Association, providing training and practical support for communication technology and voice banking. Amongst other projects, he provides specialist input to I Will Always Be Me program and led the co-design with people living with MND as well. Richard also works with Adecco for Google, providing specialist SLT consultancy to the Euphonia, Look to Speak, Activate, and Relate projects, amongst others, facilitating co-design with people living with MND and many other conditions. Prior to qualifying as a speech language therapist, he worked in the IT industry for 18 years, and Richard is a national advisor to RCSLT for voice banking and MND. So let's get started with Alper and Richard. But before we get into the actual demonstrations, I have a question for each of you. And the question is, what are your top 2 recommendations when looking for or evaluating an application to help with communication? Let's start with Alper.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you, and welcome to the webinar today. And thank you for having me to this presentation today. I would like to share my opinion about open source, especially open source software and applications. Open source is, everyone can contribute, and it's low cost, maybe for free applications, and especially I want to mention that the many countries cannot have a opportunity for the assistive communication devices and software. The open source and low-cost applications is very important. And I think we need more of these kinds of application, because the etiquette and the in the United world, and we need to people communicate and we have to allow them communicate freely. So this is my choice. This is my choice. I would like to introduce you today. First of all, the OptiK and another case speaker applications. Why I'm choosing these applications? Because this is totally free applications, and you can use it freely without any restrictions, and you can have many benefits of the communication rules. They have the sentences, text editor, and at the same time they have pictorial editorial board inside built in, and they have multi-language. So multi-language feature is very important. Just a little out of my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alper. And Richard, you're going to, sorry, I interrupted you. You're going to share your top two?
Yeah, no, it's just, it's a really, I think it's such a great question, particularly when we talk about technology, you know, what are the top two tips? And I suppose the number one top of my mind, I know this is about technology, but actually when we talk about communication, it's about that. It's not technology. Communication is not technology. So it's that way around. So when we apply technology to communication, let's think about what we're trying to do. So it's person-centered. It's always person-centered. We don't try to fit the technology to the person. It's the other way around. And you know, when we consider technology in those terms, then who's the expert in the room? And the expert in the room is the person living with MND, or whoever they communicate with, and whoever they communicate with, it's them, rather than us as specialists or technologists. Everybody needs to understand what the need is, what the requirement is, and the requirement could be everyday conversation, getting stuff done, all the rest of it. Now let's build for that. So those are my top one. Yeah.
I think that might be cheating, Richard. However, we'll let you get away with it because I think what you said is super important, to take a person-centered approach to communication and to technology is so important. And just to reiterate a couple of things that Alper said, I think cost is also important, that we want to make sure that whatever is available is available to everybody, free of charge if possible, so that there's no barrier to people living in a lower social economic climate than others. We want to have access for all. And the other piece I think that Alper touched on, that's so important, is language availability. That's something certainly we run into at the International Alliance. We do most of our work in English, and obviously we offer Spanish captions for our webinars, but there are so many other languages in the world. And we, again, if we want to have access for all, language becomes very important for anyone who's unilingual in a language other than English. So thank you for those important points in the introduction to this. And now I'm going to turn the webinar over to Alper to give us some demonstrations of some applications that are important to him.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start to share my screen. And my presentation is ready, I think. Yes. Can you see my presentation? Can you see my screen?
Yes, Alper.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Let me start. Freeware communication software fundamentals because we have some rules on the AAC on the AAC standards, and if you are talking about the freeware communication software, first of all, it must be free, totally freeware, and multilingual features, and mouse pointer. Basically, mouse pointer is the basic of this, the choice, I think. And then eye tracker, because the ALS patients at last needs that kind of tracker because the eye movement is the last muscles to lost, and text-to-speech function, text and picture-based user interface, and alternative keyboard, and chat keyboard, maybe the quick chat for quick chat, and web page navigation, customized dictionary function for the prediction, word prediction, small word prediction, smart word prediction is very important, and the support is very important issue also. And if you look at the assistive communication inputs, the simple inputs can be a camera mouse or a VIA-cam, which is also freeware applications. And if you need eye tracking, we have to consider that the cost very important issue. So we need low cost and maybe second hand or brand new eye trackers. This is the very cheap eye trackers. You can be used with these softwares. Two of softwares can be used with this hardware. The eye tracker name Tobii 5, or the other tracker that the Tobii products 2 years ago, and now it's out of price, I think. And Tobii iX is the other tracker, but we can find at the market. It's in second hand, and the other branded or new eye trackers. If we look at the prices, it's not very high. Even today, you can find this at this cost, this trackers, and you can use the old eye trackers also. So second the second part is the download the software. This is for example, for OptiK Pro, you can download all in one, or you can download 3 applications standalone for chat, symbol, and mouse control. And the other software is Gaze Speaker. Gaze Speaker is a software also freeware. You can use eye tracker, and you can have a keyboard, and you can have pre-installed little icons for the pictorial communication. And very important issue is multi-language. And I will show you later. And if you want to change or make some changes in software or the cells, you can do it on the Gaze Speaker also. So if we compare the 2 software, the OptiK have the almost everything you need here, and Gaze Speaker some weakness, no alternative keyboard, no chat keyboard, and no support. Yet I think the support is very important issue, but you can use freely up to date. And I will show you some useful links, and maybe Jesse can share the documents inside these links. You can reach these links. So let me start starting by OptiK Pro is can you see my screen also? All the screen?
Yes, the whole screen.
Okay, the whole screen. Now I'm using my Smart Now head tracking system, so it's easier for me. I want to use my eye tracking right now because its interface will interface with the other ad tracker. So I will show you my mouse clicking function, but you can choose mouse clicking or ad tracking system, which I will show you later. And this is the mouse bar. You can do left click, right click, double click, and other functions that mouse bar just like your mouse, real mouse. For example, we can do left double click and come here. You can see this double click. If you want to choose something in this menu, just only one click, and you can choose the down menu here, and you can click on it and close the application. So if you want to edit or write something, you can have a keyboard, all kind of language support. For example, go to menu and go to language and voice options. You can find anytime, almost every language, preset language, keyboard, and sound outputs. I will use English keyboard right now, and this is for calibration for the eye tracker, and this is for ABC letters. And we can have attendant chime button here. This is very important for the urgent cases, you know. And the other thing, the important thing, you can size and position wherever you want, go down, back, or on any side of the screen. And this is very simple way. And you can have a sleep function if you don't want to use it anymore, and you can wake up again, and you can have a browsing, and you can have a physical keyboard keys, and you can have dynamic keyboard, and you can choose alternative keyboard here. This is anything, the other kind of keyboard, or you can choose other keyboards. So this is very useful for the communicating and controlling your computer. Now, let me show you something. For example, go to website, and we have go the letters, and come here, and we can write here something and go search something like that, and or you can only use your mouse Alper. That's it. And this is the OptiK. As you can see, the web page OptiK, or you can download here. You can choose the download application, and you can install It's very easy and useful. You can choose the eye tracker. If you click on the red management console, you can see, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the main control menu. You can choose anything, pointing and selecting mouse. This is mouse position, but you can choose any kind of eye tracker supported here. For example, eye tracker 5, W5 or IX. The only click on it and all in one, you can use your tracker. And the other software I want to show you, to close that. It's very easy. Yeah. The other software is called Gaze Speaker. This is, as you can see the page, you can have download it here and download the software by clicking on the download link. And you can see the features here. And if you want to see the software, I will show you. Let me show you with a demo here. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we see the whole screen, Alper.
Yeah. I cannot click. I cannot click on the. I don't know. Okay. I think something gone right. Something gone. Oh, I cannot click on it. Let me close. No, it doesn't. I think my computer is now freezing. I'm sorry. I'm stop my sharing. I cannot stop my sharing.
That's okay. We have a couple of questions that came in for you. So
Yeah.
while you're stopping sharing, Alper, may I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the question that I have is, do you use more than one app yourself when you're regularly communicating? What do you personally use, and is it more than one app at a time that you use to help with your communication? And I actually have a second question, which is, how difficult or easy have you found adapting as the applications change over time?
Yeah, this is a great question. First time, when I feel weakness on my hands, I have to find an alternative way to click on the computer or mouse control, and I found automatic mouse clicker. A dual clicker is very useful and or handy application you can find anywhere in the internet. And the dual clicker you can find for free, or you can find a commercial on the market, but you can find free for free application. And then I figured it out that I can move. I can have little move and lot of movement with the mouse settings. If you go to Windows or other operating system, you can set the mouse settings as your wish, and you can have little movements, but the large movement on the mouse mouse pointer. This is the first thing I discovered. And the other important is the word, smart word prediction. So you can write various speed, and you can have the words to be learned by the smart keyboard system. So I'm using the on-screen keyboard, and but it's now a commercial one, so I don't want to mention it. But I'm very happy with the software, so I can use my hand movement, and I can use the auto-click function. But when I go to bed, it's not easy to move my hands because on resting my pillow, my head on the pillow, so I need the eye tracking system. So I prefer OptiK software. It's very useful. You can do anything. You can surf internet. You can write letters. You can write diaries or anything you want. You can control your computer, file system, anything. So OptiK, I recommend you OptiK because OptiK is developed by the volunteers, and I was a volunteer to translate it. So I wrote the developer that what I need. So the software is now up to date, and it's very useful, I think. So you can find the link, and I think the Jessica will share
Yes,
the
she did
page.
share it in the chat.
Page. You can find that. You can find the software, how to do it. Thank you very much. Another question. I'm here.
Thanks very much, Alper. I'm going to turn the screen over to Richard right now to demonstrate a couple of apps, and I will turn my camera off, and we can, if you have any questions throughout, please put them in the Q&A, and we will ask Richard after each app. Thanks.
You're welcome, and thank you for asking me. I'm just really honoured, and I just really love what you said, Alper. I think there's lots to consider here, and cost is a major issue wherever we are in the world. And actually, that when we think about communication technology, often it can be very expensive or very complex. And actually, in that situation, it always makes sense prior to a purchase, a big purchase, a private purchase, or anything like that, to actually get advice from, I don't know, a speech language therapist, assistive technologist, just to get advice. Because actually these things, as I said earlier, communication is a very personal thing. So therefore the technology needs to fit the communication. And therefore, we need to think about this, and engaging with professionals, if they're available, is fine, is really good practice. What I'm about to show you here are all free apps. They're all free. They all run on Android. And if you wanted to download them now, you absolutely could. You could use them now if that was what you wanted to do. So all these apps, well, I'll show you what kind of access you will need for these types of apps as well. One thing, Android. Most of these apps run on Android only. This is an issue for people that prefer to use Apple, and I get that. One thing from a kind of a global perspective is that people living in lower middle income countries who may not have access to technology, if they have access to anything, it's more likely to be an Android smartphone than anything else. So just bear in mind. Anyway, all of this is free. I'll stop talking and start demoing, and thanks to Kathy for mentioning that as I'm demoing, I am literally demoing live. So if it goes wrong, you will see it, and so may that be, and then we can talk about how that is. So my first question for you is, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can, Richard.
Thank you, thank you. So let me just quickly grab my phone. So I have on my screen, I have my phone, which is in delightful purple background, and I have some screens. So Kathy, shout if you cannot see my lovely purple phone.
We can see your lovely purple phone with the green bird in the bottom row.
That works. That works. By the way, I'm learning Spanish using Duolingo, so I'm trying my best. So the first app I want to talk about is called Live Transcribe. This is completely free, and you can download it now. It's actually for everybody. The people living with MD find their communication partners. Now, it transcribes clear speech, not speech that has been affected by dysarthria or whatever. It transcribes live your speech, everyone's speech, and I'll just show you how that works. I have not calibrated anything. I'm just going to, as you can see, I'm just going to tap on the app. And I'm just going to start talking. And you can see that pretty much the transcription is reflecting my words. And why is this beneficial? Because in this world of communication, there's always more than one person, usually, communicating. And with MND and with all sorts of other conditions, there's other things that are likely to go on as well. So as the average age people living with MND is around 55 to 75, it could very well be that there's a hearing difficulty as well. Or it could be, there could be some benefit when having a conversation that there are words, written words, present as well. So people get the option to actually have a better understanding of what is being said, particularly in this day and age where, you know, if you're in a hospital or in a medical center, the chances are the person you're talking to will have a face mask on. Therefore, it can be very difficult if you're not feeling well anyway and there's other stuff going on to understand. So here's an opportunity. So this is for professionals, it's for people living with MND, it's for families, it's for anybody that wants to make sure communication is as effective as possible. Now it's pretty cool. It's available in 80 languages. And I will try my Duolingo Spanish round about now. Buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? Well, nearly. So you can speak in more than 80 languages. It does not need to be online. You can download and save the language files. And so it's just available, and it's just something that I think is useful. And one other thing I just want to show is that you can adjust the size of the font if you want to. You can save what's being said and export it perhaps to a document or to a file. You can also save custom words. So, you know, proper nouns, people's names are really important, and you can train it to just say those proper nouns correctly. It doesn't always work, and but I won't do it now. But anyway, that is available for you, and you can download it right now if that's what you want to do. So I'm just going to. The next thing I want to show you is called action blocks.
Richard,
yes.
May I just ask you a quick question about Live Transcribe before you move on to action blocks? For the Live Transcribe, do you find that it works better or worse in particular languages? Like you were a little disappointed in your Spanish. Do you think that was your Spanish that made it disappointing? Or do you think it was the system? So is it better in English or is it good in all languages?
To be honest, that was entirely my Spanish. So I apologize to all Spanish speakers here for being terrible. From the feedback I have got using it with a few different people is actually, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good, and actually it's worth doing. And I would not waste your time demoing this if I didn't think it was worth a go. So yes, I think it's viable.
Thank you so much, Richard.
Yeah. So the next thing is called action blocks. So this is a different type of app. It's free. You can download it, of course, onto Android, and it's aimed at people who maybe have increasing hand weakness, difficulty kind of accessing the screen on their phone or their tablet, but they still have some movement, some hand movement. Additionally to that, you can create an icon that can do multiple things. So you can just say, for example, you can press one button and it will go and make a phone call for you, or it'll dial a phone number and then it would just open the phone for you. Or you could just send a text with whatever the pre-written text is, like, can you collect me now? Those kind of things. So what I'm saying is that there are multi-step commands for everyday stuff that people do that you can put into under one button. And in addition, the size of that button can be as big as the screen. So therefore, for people with kind of limited movement in their hands or access to their own phone or tablet, we can make it a little bit easier for them for longer. So let me just demo it. So I'm just opening action blocks, as you can see. I'm going to create an action block. It gives you lots of preset options. It just tries to help you in some ways. I'm going to be it simple because I don't have a lot of time, but you can do lots of stuff, including get directions, make phone calls, send text. All I'm going to say is, hello, my name is Richard. How are you? Question mark. I can find a question mark there. So, and then let's go down. All right. So there are currently only 2 voices. By the way, this is available in lots of different languages, including Spanish. So, and then it says, right, next is just a simple one. Do you want to test it out? Yeah, I'm going to test it out. Always test it out.
Hello, my name is Richard. How are you?
So hoping you heard that. And then, so that works. And then I'm going to call this a name. So I'm just going to say hello. I'm going to call this icon hello. I'm also going to give it a little image. So it could be a photo from my phone somewhere, could be a selfie, or it could be a PCS symbol, could be symbol if people use symbol-based communication. I'm going to do a selfie. And so here we are in Southwest London, looking good. Just quick selfie. And happy with that. Just give a quick edit. Yep, that's done. And then, so that's it. That's going to be my action block. And now I'm going to place it. So I need to go home, create a little, I'll just create a new one, little widget. Action block widget, and I'm going to put this one. There it is. So that was the thing that I just did, and as you can see, I can make it as big as I have space for, or as small as I like, and then I can just press it.
Hello, my name is Richard. How are you?
And that's that. And so, we have potential here for whatever a person would like to do with their own stuff, with their own phone, with their own Android tablet, let's go do that, and just try and help people to keep using their own stuff for as long as they would like it for, or as is possible. So that's action blocks.
Richard, another quick question before you move on to voice access. For the action blocks, what do you find that are the most common uses for it?
There are kind of two groups. One is kind of everyday communication, like for speech pathologists in the audience, everyday AAC. So something like, yes, no, how are you doing, what's going on, whatever people, perhaps whether it's difficulty speaking or they need support to speak, actually having a little kind of communication method on their phone, just built into their phone. That's that. The other thing is for stuff like sending a text, or just doing multi-step commands, getting directions, like, kind of direct me home from here. And those are, kind of very, you can put it under one big button and just press. And so those types of kind of functional activities are where I see it most. But actually, the answer is kind of is only limited by what the person with MND would like to do. So if they'd like to do, because lots of things, this could probably do lots of things. In fact, it can do pretty much anything that Google Assistant can do under one button. So it's very powerful.
Thank you very much. So just one more quick question on that. Do people use it for access to entertainment type things as well, like access to Netflix so you don't have to log in, that kind of thing?
Yes. I'm just going to have a quick look. There are some preset options here, like for kind of playing music and playing a video. I personally, I have not done it for access to Netflix, but it could be used for, well, it's definitely worth trying, and it could be used for access to environmental control as well. So, kind of say a command, speak a command that triggers an environmental control, like turn the lights on, turn the lights off, play something on my YouTube, whatever. So, great question, and I would definitely dedicate time to actually trying to make that work, because I think it probably will.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, so the next thing is voice access. So this is for people with speech that has not changed particularly, but there is difficulty accessing or controlling their phone or their device. And what it is, it's a free app. You just download it, and you use your natural voice to do anything you like, pretty much, on your phone. And it's available in English, German, Spanish, Italian, and French. And Apple have something called voice control, which works in a very similar way. So I'm going to demo it to you. I'm going to talk to my phone. Nothing has been calibrated. I just literally switched on the voice access, and I'm going to try and send a tweet. I'm going to open an app because it recognizes apps, loads of apps without kind of with just off the bat. So let's see how it goes, and I apologize if it goes wrong, but let's go. Hey Google, voice access. Swipe left. Scroll left. Scroll down. Scroll down. Show labels. Tap 3. Go back. Go home. Open BBC News. Scroll down. show numbers, tap 11, go back, go home, hide numbers, open maps, show numbers, tap 10, tap 13, hide numbers, go home, go home, open Twitter, new tweet, new tweet, 3. Hey everyone, I am writing this tweet using my voice alone, full stop. How cool is that? Question mark. Tweet. Go home. Go home. Stop listening. So you can see, so I've just stopped working. So you can see with a little learning of the instructions, you can do pretty much anything on the phone. There are literally hundreds of commands. But what I do when I'm working with somebody, I'll figure out what they want to do first, and then we talk about the commands to actually get there afterwards. But out of the box, a free app like that, it can mean the difference between people using, kind of having to use specialist devices and all that kind of stuff, and using their own stuff with their own content. And I think that's worth talking about. So that was voice access. And now we're going to talk about look to speak. I'm sorry, so whistle stop.
Sorry, Richard. Once again, yes. we have a question that came in.
Okay.
With this app, with your voice activate, how does it perform in a noisy environment?
Yes, we need to be careful because everything depends on the device being able to hear me. So hear me well. So we need to be careful in this. I guess it's just like anything that's voice activated, noise matters. So in that kind of a situation, if I'm wearing kind of a headset microphone or earbuds or something like that, that's far better. But of course, you know, when we're talking to something, then background noise matters. Of course it does.
Thank you so much. And I just want to give you a little bit of a time check that we have 10 minutes left.
10 minutes left. So this is the last one. And so look to speak. So this is kind of for people that use eye gaze mainly to communicate. If they communicate best using eye movement, then this may be of interest. So look to speak uses eye gesture and the phone camera, and it will recognize eye movement wherever the phone camera recognizes can see the eyes. It needs no calibration, and it's available in lots and lots of languages, including Spanish. Now, this is not a replacement for an eye gaze device like a Tobii or Smartbox. It's not that. It's not that fully functioned. But what it is it can be helpful if those devices are not available for any reason. It could be that there just aren't any, or it could be that they need repair or we're waiting for them. And actually quite often, you know, unfortunately with MND, things happen quickly and things need to be done quickly, like people need to go to hospital right now. And often in that situation, stuff like eye gaze devices are not taken in the ambulance with them. There was just no time. So this is kind of it for those moments. And of course, look to speak will work wherever the camera, wherever the phone camera works. So here it's this is a standard Android phone, and the phone camera can see my face, and that is enough. You can see I've got some reflection in my glasses because I've got a window behind me. Sometimes that may be a problem with eye gaze devices, but not here. So once I've positioned the phone in front of my face, I can specify pretty much any phrase that I could look at, select using eye movement in lots of languages. So I'm just going to edit one here. Hello, how are you? Sorry, I'm being very unimaginative with my phrases. How are you today? Smiley face. Do that, and we'll save that. And there's my hand, and I can even move it up and down. There's one in Ukrainian there as well. So I'll just go back. And so, hello, how are you today is actually third on the left. So all I'm going to do is, because it's on the left side of the screen, I'm going to look left. And hello, how are you today is still on the left. I'm going to look left. It's on the right now. It's on the right.
Hello, how are you today? Smile.
Hello, how are you today? Smile. So what is this? So this is a way for people that would use eye gaze devices probably, or eye gesture as their main mode of communication, to be able to use this free app if there's something else going on or the main device is not available, and it will help them to get beyond yes and no, and also it could help them to initiate things as opposed to using what's called low-tech AAC, where we need support, often need support from others, though that's not always the case, but just to kind of help things out. And in addition to that, you can actually make this into an environmental control system where you can say, kind of, although I won't do it, Alexa, switch on the lights, Alexa, turn on the TV, and just make those comments and make it say that. So you can have a very nice environmental control system as well, just built into this free app. So that feels super fast. And I think I'm going to stop sharing and come back to you, Kathy.
Thank you so much, Richard and Alper, for sharing the apps that you both use. If anyone has any questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A. I have a question for Alper about the apps that Richard demoed, to see if you have used any of those in the past or if you plan on using any of them in the future.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. I would prefer the OptiK in the future if I don't have much money to buy the very pricey AAC for that, like Dynavox. So I would choose the OptiK. I think it's very it's very neat, and it's very useful. And I know that many of the patients living in Turkey using the system, and they have a do-it-yourself manual on our website, and they buy only the tracker hardware, and they only need to install software and calibrate. That's it. And they can use in Turkish also.
Excellent. And Richard, I said in your introduction that you work a lot with different companies on different projects that are upcoming. So I know this is about current apps that are available free and everywhere. But do you anticipate, what do you anticipate will be apps of the future that will be free and everywhere?
I just what excites me the most is being able to kind of enable more people to use their voice to access whatever it is in their life. So right now, for people that have speech that has changed, but they still prefer to talk, it's really hard to use any speech recognition, anything, and it just excludes them from, like, you know, literally hundreds of thousands of possibilities that we have with Alexa and Google Assistant and Siri. So the Google Euphonia project really excites me. It really does, because it's training speech recognition to allow far more people to be able to take kind of benefit from this completely free technology that's on everyone's phones. So the Euphonia project, and that's also being launched in Spanish, in French, in Japanese, in Hindi. We are collecting voice samples because we are going to change the model to allow people to access the stuff that they always should have accessed in the past. And have a look at that. And the first release from that project is called Relate, Project Relate. And it's something that runs on the phone. If we had more than 2 minutes, I would show you. But you train the model, the voice recognition model, on your own phone. So it recognizes you better, and you can go and access Google Assistant. You can caption your own speech. If your speech is unclear and people are having difficulty understanding it, that to me is technology for good, and that's something I think we should all be getting behind.
Thank you so much. I am very excited that that is in the near future, not in the far future. That will be very helpful for our community. So we are officially out of time. So I want to give a special thank you to our panelists, Richard and Alper. Thank you for your participation today. And I will take this opportunity to invite you to register for our next webinar, which is entitled, "What Do I Need to Know About Clinical Trials?" It's on September 1st, and it's a little later than we usually offer them. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern time on September 1st. So I wish you all a great morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on where you are in the world. And thank you again to Richard and Alper.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here, and have a nice day.
Thank you for me too.